everybody, and thank you for joining us on International Women's Day. Really excited for this panel today. There's a couple of reasons. For me personally, building brand is everything. It really is. We've always got to ask ourselves, why something is a household brand name, whatever the industry that it's in. And so that is hopefully what we're going to answer for you today. These amazing founders are going to give you some of their secrets on that topic. And then secondly, we have real diversity on this panel in terms of the stages of companies that we're going to be hearing from today. So I'll let everybody go into their companies, but just to give you an idea of the different stages that we're lucky enough to be hearing from today. Elle, the founder of Mend, began 9 months ago. And has raised $1 million seed round. And so we'll be talking about the early stage companies. Lauren, the founder of Queen V within Brandable, is a Series A company. She's been busy working on the pre-launch of Queen V, which she'll tell you more about, which launches in April. And then we have Sallie, who technically has raised a Series A for Ellevest. Although it was a $35 million Series A round. So more on that later. And then Katherine with Clique has actually been around for 12 years and has most recently raised a Series C round, but in total has raised $27 million. So that sort of sets the scene here for the exciting different perspectives that you're going to be hearing from today. But I will now hand over, and maybe we can go through in order a little bit about your company.
Great. Yeah, thanks for introducing us. My name is Elle. I'm the founder of Mend, which is a self-care app for heartbreak and beyond. You can think of it sort of like next-gen Oprah in your pocket. It's like a best friend that guides you through a breakup day by day with daily training and community support. And we launched in April of last year, so we're about to celebrate our first year.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
My name is Lauren Steinberg, and I'm the founder of Queen V. Queen V is a millennial-focused feminine wellness company. We're launching in Walmart in April, and we've created a really easy-to-follow 3-step process of maintaining your V, healing your V, and enjoying your V, and by V, I mean vagina.
I'm Sallie Krawcheck. I'm the CEO of Ellevest, which is a digital investing platform for women. After spending my career on Wall Street and thinking it was gender neutral, I recognized in an industry that's 86% sort of 60-year-old white guys may be doing a better job for men than women. And in fact, women don't invest as much as men do, which cost women hundreds of thousands, for some women millions of dollars over the course of their careers. So we're the first investing platform built for women.
Great. I'm Katherine Power. I'm the CEO of Clique. We're a media and commerce company. We own and operate several brands for Gen Z and millennial women across fashion and beauty and home decor. Our fashion brand is Who What Wear, which also lives as an apparel line within Target stores. And we also have a division that creates these consumer product lines that actually live in traditional retail.
Thank you, everyone. So I believe that every brand centers around authenticity and uniqueness, and a lot of that is focused on the storytelling from the founder. So we've heard what the company does, but now I'd love to hear from each of you how you think about your specific brand.
So I think about our brand as how we want people to feel when they experience Mend, when they're using Mend. And so we think about that at every stage of the process, whether it's user experience or product or marketing. And we started out as a brand to provide the best possible support and experience for someone who is going through heartbreak. And our brand has really evolved because, as we've seen, and I experienced this myself when I went through the breakup that inspired Mend, heartbreak is just the wedge into the larger self-improvement industry. And heartbreak is oftentimes the catalyst for turning inward and redeveloping, or maybe for the first time developing the relationship you have with yourself. So our brand has actually really evolved just in the last year from one that was really focused on that kind of critical pain point we were solving for, and now looking at the larger self-improvement landscape. So that's a little bit about how it's evolved.
So I think that the topic of feminine wellness can be super, super confusing and intimidating and really embarrassing for a lot of women. So Queen V really aims to just make it a topic that doesn't have to be so scary. We're launching in April, so right now we're really focused on feminine wellness and hygiene. But again, I'm working really closely with Walmart, kind of seeing what other categories we can expand into. Our company really, at the end of the day, has better for you ingredients, and it's a fun company. My whole goal is to kind of destigmatize the word vagina. It's okay to say it, and our packaging is super loud and fun. It's not meant to, kind of hide on a shelf like some of the other brands. So I'm really excited about it, and I hope it inspires women to take control of what they're putting into their bodies.
So I would say that one of the things women talk about less than they talk about their bees is money. And in fact, one of my messages to women is we're much more likely to have sex with an individual before we ever talk to them about money. And so society really, it's true. Imagine if on your third date you were like, how much money are you pulling down, right? The clothes would not come off and there would not be a fourth date. And so the patriarchy has really told us that it's tacky, crass, and unattractive to talk about money. But the problem for us as women is if we're not talking about it and y'all are, how are we going to close our gender pay gap, right? How are we going to close our gender investing gap? How do we know what to do? And so it keeps us down. So our messaging is around the fact that money is power and that we women will not be fully equal with you gentlemen until we are financially equal with you gentlemen. Now, almost every big bank and investing firm that you know of has tried to build a brand around women and investing. It has not escaped their notice that women control $5 trillion of investable assets, control with their spouses another $6, and are leaving most of it in the bank. Here's the problem. What they all try to do is build a brand rather than build a product that served them. So everybody had their women's initiative, which was generally around, don't buy shoes, invest in the market. Or let's have Chardonnay together and talk about stocks. And the women would look at this and say, that doesn't feel authentic. And then they would go to the leadership team of the company and see a whole bunch of old white dudes, who were on the first 6 rows. And then they'd see a woman running HR and they'd say, this isn't authentic. So one of the things we did is we are a team that reflects them. We are 2/3 women. Our product and engineering team is 50% women. We are 40% people of color. And the first thing we did before we ever thought about the brand is we went in and said, maybe it's the product that's not working. Maybe the fact that the algorithms out there assume the average of men and women is a problem for women because we women live longer. Whoops. You really want to take that into account. Our salaries peak sooner. Oops. Want to take that into account, right? And there's not a woman on the planet whose goal is what men's goal is in investing, which is to outperform the market. In fact, 0% of women told us they wanted to outperform the market. They want to reach their goals. So we dug in deep with thousands of hours with women, built a product, and then built a brand that was all about power.
Great. So impressed.
Thank you.
Such a good idea. We are a house of many brands, but similar to many brands out there, our brands have all started with a founder's need and a white space in the market. So our first brand to ever launch was Who What Wear, and that was about 12 years ago. I was the West Coast editor of Elle magazine, and this was a time when, imagine no iPhone, Facebook had just launched and was exclusive to college students. Magazines didn't even have a digital presence. It was a splash page to collect subscription orders. And I was spending all my time on the computer. And I was so frustrated I couldn't get the same kind of content I was getting in a print magazine online, and even more frustrated that there wasn't an easy way to shop that content. So, I felt like the high-end magazines that were out at that time had a very exclusive feel and sort of spoke down to women. And I felt that, our community specifically really knew what they wanted. They just needed sort of the cliff notes, the shortcut to get there, the tips and the tricks. So we set out to kind of reimagine the way that women like ourselves would consume this quality content and shop on the internet. And our brand has always been, whether it's Who What Wear in fashion, or Birdie in beauty, or College Fashionista, which is for college students, it's always been about approachability and being someone's most in-the-know friend and sort of guiding them through whatever that lifestyle journey is.
So now I want to talk about brands by sector. So if we first talk about media, and this is one that, Clique's brand is very much media first. And Lauren, as you think about Queen V, you've been able to effectively bring in different influencers, and we'll be bringing in influencers post-launch. So I'd love to hear your thoughts, both Lauren and Katherine, as you think about traditional media, digital media, and influencers, and how they can effectively push a brand forward.
Absolutely. I think one of the very unfair advantages that our company has is this giant media platform. So we've created communities around female passion points, really, from wellness to beauty to career and finance, or whatever it is that we're covering. And so from that, we are able to glean a ton of data that helps us to inform our product creation, not just our tangible product, but our digital product. And so that media business has afforded us this ability to forecast trends more accurately, to take bigger bets and know that they're going to pay off, or to discover white space in the market in order to create into them. The obvious is that we also have a digital audience to which we can market all of our products and new initiatives to, but it's truly the place to build a community and an audience to which you stay connected, and that's how you evolve, is sort of by watching the consumer and trying to both lead them and also learn from them along the way.
Yeah, definitely, especially with Queen V. I think with the influencers that we work with, we've found that authenticity is key. Working with women who already are passionate about wellness and health and about female empowerment is super important. With our launch coming up in April, we're sending out influencer boxes, and a lot of talent and influencers want to be paid nowadays to post these types of things. And my response is, if you love my products, I would love for you to post about them, and if you don't, that's totally okay, no problem. But I definitely think a combination of all three is key to launching a brand.
Yeah, I very much agree. Now, Sallie, the financial sector is definitely one that it is tough to build a brand in. I learned this the hard way. Prior to Lightspeed Venture Partners, I was at Nutmeg, which is an online private wealth management company in the UK. And we always used to say every brand needs 2 different touch points before someone can trust it enough to purchase or use it. In the financial sector, you need at least 3 different trust points because of the lack of trust in that space.
Yep.
So how do you think about building trust in your brand?
Yeah. And it may be more than 3. We find that folks, will have signed up for our newsletter, which goes out weekly, written by me, a year and a half ago or 2 years ago when we were in beta, and they finally just sort of make their way through. And so it really is about being authentic and being true to them. They, as mentioned earlier, they check out who our leadership team is. Does it look like me? They go through the process. We give them a free financial plan, which other folks charge $1,000 or $1,200 for. Does that make sense to them? Do they feel comfortable with this? Does the output feel like something they can achieve and accomplish? And then they see us out there. And we also have an unfair advantage, one of which is I've got a social following of 2.4 million or so that has been built up over years. We also are in the press in places that others aren't. And so while the other digital advisors are all duking it out to try to get onto Bloomberg and CNBC, et cetera, and we go there too, we're in Refinery 29, we're in Bustle, I was the Elle Coach of the Month, a month ago. And given who the team is that we've assembled, there's myself, I've had more time than I would like to share with you, running Smith Barney, running Merrill Lynch, et cetera. Our chief investment officer, female, smartest person I know, PhD from Stanford, undergrad from Brown in computer science and applied math. You know, when you go through the team that we've put together and she looks at us, she sees authenticity, but if you are writing about women and money at one of these women's magazines and you're not talking to us, you know, you're sort of not completing the sentence overall. And so it really is about putting together a great team, being upfront and authentic with them, and then having, you know, a handful of touch points, and then the word of mouth. Now, we can't actually ask for testimonials, so we're at a disadvantage to all the other consumer products companies out there. According to regulators, we can't do it. And so that stuff, that word of mouth needs to be sort of self-generated, and we do it by providing, we think, a great experience that feels really right to her. The only one is. And then in terms of building the brand, you know, it's a female feel. Our website was designed by the woman who redesigned the website of Vogue.com, right? And as I started, I said, I want this to be like Tory Burch meets financial services, to have that feel. And of course, we've got an advantage because the symbol of the entire rest of the investing industry, Wall Street, of Merrill, is a bull. It's a phallic symbol, right? And so our brand can stand out as being very much for her, whereas the rest of the industry looks very much not for her.
Yeah, I like that. It's powerful. And so then, Elle, on the app side of things, we invest in a lot of apps at Lightspeed and very much do not believe that the app is dead, as some of our competitors believe. We've had great success in investing in apps like Snapchat and just merely believe that, A, apps will evolve, but B, it is increasingly difficult for apps to become an app that is on the home screen. And so as you're building an app, how do you think about being the first brand that people think of once they've gone through a relationship, gone through a breakup, and how you think about being on that home screen?
Yeah, so I think it's a couple of things for us. You know, if you think about someone who's going through heartbreak, they are desperate for support 24/7. And that's one of the reasons when we launched, even though we are really interested in you know, being with someone along their entire self-improvement journey over time, we were really focused on that acquisition point of heartbreak. And so we're really focused on building trust. That's really important for someone who's recently heartbroken. And also just providing the best possible content. You know, when I was inspired to build Mend, it was because I had, you know, Googled at 2 a.m. for breakup advice, and everything that came back was, frankly, you know, really shitty advice or just very cliche, you know, tropes that you hear all the time. So our content is expert-driven, which helps build trust. And then I think the other thing that we were really bullish on and has proven to be very successful for us is voice, the power of voice. You're really able to build a friend-like you know, relationship with a user, which keeps them coming back. And then, so, you know, there are a lot of things that we're doing to build our brand. And then the really amazing thing that we've seen is that, you know, Menders build our brand for us. And I think unlike a lot of other mental health apps and you know, self-help apps or resources, there's not a lot of stigma around heartbreak, or there's less stigma around it. So people are really willing to share, and it actually makes them feel very, you know, helpful and proactive in recommending Mend to their friends, because I think a lot of times you're sort of at a loss for, you know, what to say when someone's going through heartbreak. So I think Menders have really helped us build our brand by talking about it, you know, and they're not just telling their friends one-on-one, they're sharing on social media, and that's been really powerful for us. Yeah.
So now to end, we're going to spend the last few minutes on a quick fire round. So first of all, what is the single word that most describes your brand?
Compassion.
Empowerment.
Female power, it's a hyphen. There's a hyphen.
I hope it's accessibility.
Okay. Second question, again, only individual words. 2 personal favorite consumer brands. Cannot be your own.
Okay, just the names? Sweetgreen and Starbucks. I guess I like food.
Dry Bar and Hanky Panky.
Dry Bar and Stitch Fix.
Say what you want, but KKW Beauty is just a perfect modern brand to me, from the brand ID to the packaging to the marketing execution. Another beauty brand, Glossier, I think is killing it.
Yeah, I agree. So now there's quite a few people in the audience who are thinking about building their own consumer brand. So I'd love to end on the advice that you would give the room for people who are building their own brand.
I think it's really important to spend time when you're in product development thinking about your brand and really thinking critically about what your story is and what your voice is. But I also think it's really important, and this is the advice I would give people who are building brands, to constantly revisit. Every quarter we do a sort of a brand day where we're revisiting that, and I think that's really important because things evolve so quickly.
I would definitely say find the white space, know your brand, and always have an opinion.
I can't believe we're building the brand that we're building, and I can't believe it because we haven't had I was going to say we haven't had a CMO. We've had CMOs. They've come, they've gone. But it's really come from here, and it's come from a group of us who have really spoken to, as we call her, Elle, from the heart about what matters and what doesn't matter. And so when I look out and see the following we've had and the fact that we're winning some brand awards, it's unbelievable to me that we've been able to do it with backgrounds that really are not at all brand focused, but it's just coming from such a personal place for all of us.
I think that when you're building a brand, I always say you have to have a very distinct point of view. And there's a lot of great advice out there around this. But I think something that's often overlooked when building a brand is that your product has to back up your brand. And it can't just be, the best, most well-designed creative for the millennial. Like your product, as you said earlier, has to be there. If you're a beauty brand, your formula has to be perfect, because that's what's going to create a brand that will last over time.
Yeah. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us.
Thanks, Thank you.